This is a fantastic main course. That beautiful, majestic prime rib, hot and sizzling from the oven. Close-up of golden crust and steam. It looks so special, so impressive. It tastes absolutely amazing. But here's the secret, my friends. It is not hard to make. You can absolutely do this. You can cook a gorgeous 2-kilogram roast, that's about 4.4 pounds, prime rib in one go with the crispiest roast potatoes and the fluffiest roast potatoes all in one oven. It's all about a simple plan. You only need to watch your time and temperature. Right then, first things first, let's talk about the meat. You need to start with some planning. Take that lovely roast out of the fridge. Set a timer or think 2 to 3 hours. Let it sit on the counter and come up to room temperature. This is so important. If you put cold meat straight into a hot oven, it panics. The outside cooks too fast while the inside stays cold. Room temp meat cooks much more evenly, right from the edge to the beautiful center. Once it's had a good rest on the side, you need to dry it. Get some paper towels and pat it dry all over. A dry surface gives you that fantastic crispy crust we're after. Now for the flavor. Drizzle the roast with a little olive oil. Don't be shy with it. Get your hands in there and rub it all over the meat. Next comes the seasoning. Use lots and lots of good kosher salt, freshly ground black pepper. Season generously. It's a big piece of meat. If you want more flavor, now is the time. Fresh rosemary, fresh thyme. Chop them and rub them on with the salt and pepper. A bit of garlic powder is lovely too. It gives a nice, savoury depth. If your roast has bones attached, fantastic. Place the meat bone side down in your roasting pan. Bones act as a natural rack, lifting the meat so hot air circulates all around. How clever is that? So, quick recap. Out of the fridge early, pat it dry. Massage with olive oil, season with plenty of salt, season with plenty of pepper. Add herbs if you like, use bones as your rack if present. This simple prep work is the foundation for everything that follows. It sets the stage for a magnificent roast. You're building layers of flavour from the very start. Now, you can't have a perfect roast without perfect roast potatoes, can you? It's just not right. The key is picking the right type of potato. You want a floury spud. Think about using Yukon Golds, Maris Pipers, Russets. These varieties roast up beautifully. They get that lovely, fluffy inside and a super crispy outside. You can peel them if you want that classic, clean look or leave the skins on for a more rustic feel and extra flavour. I quite like the skins on myself. Next, you need to cut them up. Chop the potatoes into good-sized pieces, about 1.5 to 2 inches across. Try and make all the pieces roughly the same size. If you have some tiny bits and some massive chunks, they won't cook at the same time. The little ones will burn before the big ones are done. So, take a minute to get them uniform. This simple step helps them all cook evenly, so every single one is a perfect little nugget of gold. Once they're chopped, it's time to dress them for the party. Pop them all into a big bowl. Drizzle them with a good glug of olive oil and toss them well to make sure every single surface is coated. The two-step dance of heat and time. All right, let's get down to the cooking. Our plan uses 2 simple heat steps. First, super high heat, this is the sear. Then, drop to a long low heat roast, best of both worlds. High heat creates that dark brown, flavour-packed crust on the outside. It's all about that sizzle and that colour. That's where so much of the flavour lives. After the sear, we switch to a low and slow approach. Low heat cooks the meat gently all the way to the centre. It keeps the meat incredibly tender, juicy and beautifully pink inside. It prevents the outside from overcooking while the inside catches up. This 2-temperature method is your secret weapon against that grey, dry ring just under the surface. It ensures every slice is as good as the last. Let's put it into action. First, preheat your oven to a blazing 230 degrees Celsius. That's 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Make sure it's fully preheated before the roast goes in. When it's ready, put your seasoned prime rib into the hot oven. Let it roast at this high temperature for about 15 to 20 minutes. You'll start to see that crust forming and smell that amazing roasting aroma. During this first stage, the roast is in the pan all by itself. Do not add the potatoes now. We need to give the meat this time alone to build its flavorful armor. After those 15-20 minutes are up, it's time to change gears. Carefully open the oven and lower the temperature to 150 degrees Celsius. That's 300 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the moment to bring in our little helper. Insert your meat thermometer probe into the very thickest part of the roast. Be careful the tip is not touching any bone. The bone gets hotter than the meat and will give you a false high reading. That could lead to an undercooked roast, so find the center of the muscle. Section 5. Cooking together. The roast and potatoes unite. Now we're into the gentle, low-heat phase of the cooking. With the oven temperature lowered to 150 degrees Celsius, 300 degrees Fahrenheit, the roast will cook for about 1 hour and 15 minutes more on its own. However, our total low roast time will be closer to 1 hour and 30 minutes in total. After the roast has been cooking at this lower temperature for about 45 minutes, it's time to introduce the potatoes to the pan. They are ready for their moment. Open the oven door and pull the rack out a bit so you can work safely. Now, take your bowl of prepared potatoes and carefully add them to the roasting pan, right around the prime rib. Use a spoon to toss them in all those lovely pan juices that have rendered out from the beef. This is pure gold. Coating the potatoes in that beef fat will give them the most incredible flavor and help them get unbelievably crispy. Spread them out in a single layer as much as possible so they get good, direct heat from the pan. With the potatoes now in the pan, the roast and the potatoes will finish their cooking journey together. They'll perfume each other, with the potatoes soaking up all that beefy goodness and the steam from the potatoes helping to keep the air in the oven moist. This is one-pan cooking at its absolute best. All the flavors are mingling and marrying in that pan, creating something truly special. Now you can close the oven door and let them do their thing. The hard work is mostly done. Your job now is simple. Watch the thermometer. This is where it earns its keep. Don't rely on time alone, because every roast is different. For a perfect medium rare, pull the roast from the oven when the internal temperature reaches 51 degrees Celsius, 124 degrees Fahrenheit. If you want it more on the rare side, pull it out at 49 degrees Celsius, 120 degrees Fahrenheit. For a solid medium, you're looking for 55 degrees Celsius, 131 degrees Fahrenheit. Trust the thermometer, not the clock. Guessing is a risky game that can easily waste a beautiful, expensive piece of meat. The real key, the one little tool that changes everything, is a meat thermometer. It's a game changer. That small gadget takes the guesswork out. It makes the difference between good and legendary. Section 6. The crucial rest and the final crisp. Once your thermometer hits that magic number, 51 degrees Celsius, 124 degrees Fahrenheit for our target medium rare, it's time to take the roast out of the oven. Carefully transfer the prime rib to a cutting board. Now for the most important and often overlooked step resting. Tent the roast loosely with a piece of foil. You don't want to wrap it tightly, as that will steam the crust. Just lay the foil over the top. Let it rest for at least 20 minutes. A big 2-kilogram roast like this needs that time. A little longer is even better. While the meat is resting, something magical is happening inside. The meat will keep cooking while it rests. This is called carryover cooking. The internal temperature will continue to rise by about another 3 degrees Celsius to 6 degrees Celsius, That's 5 degrees Fahrenheit to 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Resting also allows all those wonderful juices that have moved to the surface during cooking to relax and redistribute back into the meat. This is the secret to a juicy, tender slice of beef instead of a dry one. But what about the potatoes? While the roast is having its essential rest, we can give our spuds one final blast of heat to get them outrageously crispy. This is where the 7 minutes magic happens, though it might take a bit longer. Turn your oven temperature all the way back up to 230 degrees Celsius, 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Slide the pan of potatoes back into that screaming hot oven. Let them roast for another 15 to 20 minutes, or until they are deep golden brown and wonderfully crisp on the outside. Keep a close eye on them during this final blast of heat. They can go from perfect to burnt quite quickly. Give the pan a good shake halfway through to make sure they are crisping up all over. The high heat will make their edges unbelievably crunchy, while the insides, having cooked in all that lovely beef fat, will remain soft, steamy fluffy. By the time your roast has had its full rest, your potatoes will be perfectly golden crisp and ready to serve. The timing is just brilliant. Section 7. Carving, serving and soaking up the glory. The resting is done. The potatoes are crisp and golden. The kitchen smells absolutely incredible. Now for the final act, carving the roast. If you have a bone-in roast, slice the bones off in one large piece first. Look at the meat to see which way the grain is running. Look at the muscle fibers. Slice against the grain. This is so important. Slicing against the grain shortens the muscle fibers. That makes each and every bite unbelievably tender. Aim for nice, even slices, not too thick. Arrange rosy pink slices of prime rib on a large platter. Pile ridiculously crispy, golden roast potatoes all around the meat. The contrast in colours and textures is stunning. Pour any resting juices from the cutting board over the sliced meat.